pushing as hard as you can. There's definitely been times where I get out of the car and like you just feel like you're kind of still just turning. But yeah, I would say Bristol's probably the only track that I've ever felt that way.
Welcome to Inside the Race. This week, we're talking about the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the toughest tracks on the schedule. And we have one of the baddest dudes in the business, Kyle Larson, to take us through how to make some passes, how to get on and off pit road, and what are the biggest challenges of winning at the last great Coliseum. Kyle Larson's total laps led in the last 4 races at Bristol, 1,149 out of 1,550.
Damn.
When you hear that, yeah, okay, I was gonna say, when you hear that, how's that make you feel? But you just told me.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, I knew I led a lot in the last two, but I guess I'd be almost 350 more or so, or about 300-ish laps, I would say, of the other couple.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's wild. But I don't know. I just love the track. Our team loves the track. We have a great package for it.
We're all about the X's and O's here for this show and this segment. I want to tap into your brain about how to get around Bristol. So we have some in-car footage that I want to start with, Kyle. Obviously, you're in traffic, but can you kind of explain the line and what you're looking for from the start of the race and then kind of as it starts moving around?
Well, this looks like it's early in the race from the spring. Probably right when I first get the traffic, and everybody's still married to the bottom. Nervous about moving up because of the rubber and all that, or lack of rubber. But I started going, and yeah, I don't know, just right here, just run on the bottom until I would catch people. And I assume I'm probably going to go into three here and diamond, enter high and exit low like I did to get by the 88. It's just a efficient way to pass slower cars, I feel like. Um, and yeah, I'm just able to kind of use it to my advantage. I catch traffic and they're a little indecisive on, where the track conditions are at that point.
Yeah, when we could see around the bottom, the PJ1 and the sticky stuff that they put down around the bottom of the racetrack, is that we have a good video here where you can see it on both ends. As that starts to come up, is that when you decide, okay, maybe I'm going to start searching? Or at what point in the race are you kind of starting to move around a little bit?
Well, I mean, every race is a little different. And then in this particular race in the spring, it was really cold, and we all kind of thought that it may be like the spring race from the year before, where we just wore our tires out and had to run a really slow pace. So early on in the race, yeah, I was just kind of riding around and you're trying to visually scan the track, look for rubber getting laid down, and I started to see some streaks on exit of two and exit of four. So I was like, shoot, I think rubber's laying. I'm gonna just pop out here and go to the lead and drive hard and get away. And that's what I did this first one. I wanted to try and lap as many people as I could. The more people you lap, the less drivers are fighting you through traffic as the race progresses. So yeah, just try to be really aggressive there, Bristol, and when I am in the lead, put down cars as quickly as possible. But yeah, the early portions of Bristol are always fun because the track is kind of transitioning from practice to what it was or is in the race, and you just quite never know, at least in the spring, what it's going to do. So that's fun for a driver, especially a dirt driver, trying to figure out the track conditions before everybody else.
Do you have a preference of top or bottom? Obviously, as far as where you like to get the car set up, obviously, it ends up being able to move around. Would you rather run the top or would you rather be married to the bottom?
Uh, well, I mean, I think I don't know. I don't want it to be married to either lane. I want the
Mhm.
track to be able to have speed in multiple lanes so you can move around and pass people. And I also want my car to handle in multiple lanes. So that's something that we've been able to, I feel like, be good at there with Hendrick Motorsports. There's been times in the past, in my Ganassi days where I can't get around the bottom. I'm just married to the top, and then you catch lap traffic and you're kind of
Mhm.
just stuck. And then the good cars that can run the bottom, you can just make up ground and be efficient down there. So Yeah, I think that's been something I've strived for in my Bristol career, is being able to use multiple lanes. And then now being at Hendrick, we've been able to do that. So it makes getting through traffic a little bit easier. It's always still tough there, but it makes it a little easier.
I think we watch the race at Bristol, and traffic is always a big part of the race. There's a lot of cars that are just not as fast because they're struggling to get around the racetrack. What would you say is the most challenging thing about Bristol? Is it that the passing through traffic?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's different for everybody probably and what their car is handling like, but um, I enjoy traffic there. I look forward to catching traffic because then it becomes a lot of fun, and you're just kind of flowing and trying to make quick decisions. Really just kind of turns into a dirt race feeling to me. So yeah, I mean, I really just love the traffic there. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, if your car is not handling right, if you're too tight, then you're trying to create different angles or different speeds and different points, and it becomes just really difficult. Same if you're too loose too. I mean, it's not a fun place to be kind of bouncing on your right rear through one and two, and just being sharp and on the edge of losing grip. So yeah, and then you're also turning whatever it is, 15-second lap times around there. So you're hauling ass, and you're just having to process quickly.
I remember your buddy Clint Boyer talking about Bristol one time in the broadcast booth about how he would get confused sometimes at what end of the racetrack that he would get on. Because you're to your point, you're going so fast, and the corners, even though they look the same, they run quite a bit differently. You were correct.
Well, I mean, Clint's going to get confused on what corner he's at any racetrack. So, but yeah, Bristol would be a little easier to get lost. But no, there's definitely been times where you get rolling so fast, like on a string, that you run a 100 lap run to the end of the race, pushing as hard as you can. There's definitely been times where I get out of the car and like the feeling when you get off the boat, from being on the lake all day and you're like got
A little.
slip a little bit, like you just feel like you're kind of still just turning. Um, but yeah, I would say Bristol's probably the only track that I've ever felt that way.
Yeah, and one more thing, Kyle, because Bristol pit road, obviously in the playoffs, pit road is important. It's a team sport; it takes everyone doing their job. But pit road here is even more of a challenge because during green flag conditions, you pit differently than under yellow flag conditions, and that sometimes people make mistakes. How difficult is pit road in adjusting to that situation here?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of opportunity for sure on pit road. I do like Bristol because of that as well. Especially when you have a pit crew that you're confident in. Um, you got under caution. You got both ends of the racetrack. You've got a couple corner sections. Like even pulling on pit road, you have a corner section so you can elevate your pit road lights and speeds there to kind of trick the radius of the corner. And then you have that same sort of thing in the 3 and 4 section of the corner. So teams are always kind of studying what pit stalls are allow you to maximize your pit road lights, and then your engineers have to do a good job of mathematically figuring out what your speeds need to be, where you need to elevate, what marks on the wall or on the track or paint you need to go to slow down. And it's fun. It just makes pit road execution that much more important. Especially with slow pit road speeds, it just allows for opportunity. But then, yeah, as you mentioned, the green flag stuff, which with Next Gen Racing, we've had actually green flag stops at Bristol, which is wild. I had never had that before in my Cup career. Next Gen Racing there. So then, yeah, then you're like, as you feel like you're coming down to a green flag stop, if you're pitted on the front stretch side, it's a different entry than yellow. Under yellow, you're always entering off turn two. If you're on the front stretch, you're entering off turn four. So you don't want to make the brain fart of wrong pit road. So um, yeah, you're really focused on that too. But it's fun. It's just a challenge at all times at that place, and I love it. It definitely takes a team, as it does everywhere, but Bristol especially takes a team to have a good day.
I think it's interesting because you guys as cup drivers don't get to, run a ton down on this series, but when we go to Bristol, you have opportunities to run all three. You actually did that. You did in the spring a first and a second and another first. So we almost got the full sweep. Is that still something that you're looking at trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not like I mean, I would love to, right? But you don't
Yeah.
have the opportunity to do it as often as guys used to in the past. But yeah, I mean, it would be an awesome feat for sure. I mean, Kyle Busch, I think, is the only one to do it. He's done it two or three times. So to join him on that list would be great. But it's also not something that I'm like, it's not at the top of my goals, I guess, either. Just because, like I said, I don't really get the chance to do it a whole lot, so it would be hard to do it.
Yeah.
Top three in the same weekend, I would have to think under six times probably. So it's fun. It was really cool to go to two of my best tracks earlier this year with Homestead and Bristol, and almost do it at both of them. So if the Xfinity race just goes a little differently, we do it there at Homestead, and then Bristol we actually finished better than I should have in the truck, but really good Xfinity and Cup race.
Kyle, we appreciate your time. Looking for big things out of the five group this weekend.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.